just start, first of all, can all of you guys introduce yourself and tell us what you do at the roastery there at Hi-Fi?
First,
I'm Karen, and I'm one of the owners here at Hi Fi.
Awesome.
so yeah, I'm Jeff. Our last name is Prue, and Karen's my wife. And yeah, we co-own our shops. We have three shops right now. We're in Redondo Beach, where our roastery is, and so we bounce around and do a ton of things. At the moment, as we're roasting, I'm doing production for Fi.
I'm Babe, and I'm the roaster.
Awesome. Well, welcome and good to see all you guys again today. All right. Here's the big first question. And you guys can all answer, it doesn't have to be just one. What was how would you describe the first wow moment when you had the first cup of coffee that you really remember? That was like it made you think, "Wow, this is something special." Um, and how did that moment influence your journey?
Great question.
Yeah.
You guys want to go? Want me to go?
No, you can start.
You want to go?
No.
You start. You
Okay.
started drinking coffee before me.
Yeah. I started drinking coffee when I was like 15 years old, I think. But I wouldn't say I had like a wow moment with coffee until maybe my early 20s when I started like frequently going to cafes around LA. And then I had a moment where I was like, it wasn't even so much about the coffee as it was just like the community and the ritual of going to the shops. Um, that's when I had a moment where I was like, this is where I want to spend my time when I'm not at work. And this is what I want to do anytime I have a day off. Like, I just want to do this. I want to go around to cool shops and enjoy my coffee. And so it became sort of a ritual. And then, yeah, I think that's what's led me to this point is I just kind of always saw myself in that environment.
Where was the first? Did you say where the first coffee was?
My first coffee that I remember being really excited about was a shop in LA called La Mill. I would go there like every Sunday morning. I would drive to Silver Lake, so to go. So yeah, I just loved it.
Awesome. And hey, did you guys meet in a coffee shop, by the way? Just checking.
No,
No, so that's
we did, but
Oh,
yeah, we did with B.
yeah, but no, I don't remember though. I think there was like a boom of like coffee shops in Venice, and that's when coffee got popular in LA, and I was like, "Oh, there's something different than your regular cup of coffee." Yeah, but to be specific, probably Blue Bottle, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
So I remember mine very specifically. So I always was a tea drinker. I never drank coffee growing up. Never drank it in college. Never needed it. I think I never wanted to become, what you would think of as like addicted, which is not the right word, but therefore, I never really drank alcohol. And so I was always a tea drinker, but obviously you can kind of get addicted to that, if you will. I went to New York in the early 2000s, probably 2004 or five, and I went by myself, stayed with some friends, asked some friends like, where can I go and get some work done and write? And I was in the East Village, and a friend told me you need to go to Ninth Street Espresso, which is on Ninth Street between Avenue C and D. And I went, and it was unlike anything I'd ever seen. It was the coolest design. It was clean. It was white walls, and just a great presence. It smelled amazing. Everyone in there was productive and getting work done. And I was like, what is this? But I came back to LA and I thought that was sort of a one-off. I was like, coffee isn't that. It's what my parents have grown up on, it's
right.
what, like the bigger chains are, right? Fast forward a few years, start dating Karen. We go out for a coffee date. To answer your question, Bill, one of our first dates was over a cup of coffee in our neighborhood. And I thought things were going great at the end of the date. Karen was like, "Yeah, that was cool, but," and I said, "Well, can I see you again?" And she goes, "Yes, but like, can I pick the coffee?" And I was like, "Sure," you know. So then the next day we went to Intelligentsia, which to B's point is in Venice.
Mm.
And we had like a proper cappuccino, if you will. And I go, "Oh my gosh, that place in New York wasn't really a one-off. This is happening more and more." So that was in 2009 or
Nine.
10.
Yeah.
2009, we went to Venice. Um, and then in our area in the South Bay of LA, there wasn't really any specialty coffee until 2012. And there was a new shop in town. Karen and I were still dating, and we went to the shop frequently, and that's how we got to meet B, who at the time was a barista there. And we're like, "This place is so cool." Um, so yeah, I remember my those are my three like distinct experiences. But it was mind blowing, I think, for me.
Curious and interesting how coffee was such an integral part of your romance there.
Oh,
Right. Well,
it
then
was.
then Bill, so anytime we would travel,
Yeah.
like if we went back to Florida to see my family, or anytime Karen and I took little trips, it was we would pick where we would stay in town based on where the best coffee was. So we'd go online, research, ask around, ask friends, and then figure out where the best places were in our whole
Yeah. I mean, we
half our
got
trip.
engaged at a some town in Portland.
Yeah, right.
Inside the
You,
ASIM
you
crowd.
guys are you guys are all like total coffee people. It's so fun to hear. Yeah. So then there came a time. Okay, you guys get married and everything, and there came a time there was a spark at some point that made you go, you know, what, this is it's kind of a defining moment. Um, that an idea popped into your head that you wanted to do coffee. You wanted to do a coffee house.
Yeah.
What was that? And
For me,
where
it
did it
was when
come
we were
from?
living in New York, and we would that was just our thing every day. Was you would go to like your neighborhood or one of the shops in your neighborhood because they were all over and it was awesome. But yeah, that I remember sitting in a shop on the Lower East Side, and I was like, okay, yeah, I want to do this. I want to be here.
Karen and I lived in New York for 2 years, 2014 and 2015. And previously before that, it was LA. Karen's from LA. I moved here in 2000. And we left like later that day. Karen's like, "Oh, I see us running a retail space of some type." And in New York, you have retail and coffee, or flowers and coffee, or anything in coffee just cohabitating, and you don't know which came first, the coffee
Yeah.
or the other thing. And so when Karen told me this, I was like, "How are we ever going to do that? And when are we going to do that?" And then she became pregnant with our first daughter in the fall of 2015, and we moved back to LA. And when we did, there was a big void of coffee in our neighborhood where we lived. And we just had this epiphany moment where we were stopped at a red light in the car, in this building that we'd passed a billion times before was being rehabbed and remodeled. And we looked, and it said, "Call this
For lease.
number for lease."
Okay.
It was still a year away from being done, the building, but we called it right there without a firm idea of what we knew we could do, or how to do it. And we called it, and the next day we saw the space, and that was our first shop in Hermosa Beach. And we're
So
still
it was a crime of opportunity, not a crime, but you know, it was the like boom, there it was.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know what? So obviously coffee was in your mind. Yeah, I mean, my next question is what was that pain point, if you will? Like we need to do something that's not what we're doing now. And coffee was going to be the thing that you're going to move into. It sounds like it just happened incredibly organically for you guys.
It did. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
did. It did. And I always say there's nothing like a child on the way to make you go, "What am I doing? I'm
Yeah.
scared, but I
Yeah.
want to need to do something else." And also to propel you or give you that impetus to or encouragement to like take a leap, which is the scariest time, but also the most exciting time. And so we just had this like epiphany moment where we go, let's just try it, put everything we have into it, and we'll go from there. And you don't really think, about failing. You just because you're so excited and it's coffee. And our justification was like, well, we're not gonna have to spend money going out for coffee in the morning. Um, so at
See
least
how much money you're saving by having your own coffee roastery.
yeah. So yeah, there you go.
And B, I have a feeling that this next question, we're going to reel you into the story here.
Mhm.
Because okay, it was a year before this building was going to be made. Describe some of the, this is some of the tricky parts for a lot of people. It's like the negotiating of the rent, getting the permits, all that sort of stuff. Um, and of course, was special to me. How did you land on your equipment decisions? And like the grinders, the espresso machines, the roaster, and all those other sorts of things, though. I mean, they all kind of fit into some kind of a decision-making process. How did that whole thing work from you make the phone call on a street corner to you open your door and the first people walk in?
Oh, that's like a good question because it was a lot of phone calls, just a lot of like, uh,
Well, when we were in New York, Karen and I really fell in love with counterculture
Mhm.
and their beans and the shops that we really liked and frequented. We found the unifying theme to be counterculture. So that was sort of our first phone call. Counterculture was just opening their space and training center in Silver Lake, in downtown LA. And so we called Counterculture. They were super receptive. The first person we spoke to is still a friend today, and we were texting with him last night, which is really cool. He's no longer in coffee directly, but still in hospitality and restaurants. And so he was so warm and friendly, and we're like, "This is awesome. Coffee people are cool." Then from there, Counterculture had accounts with La Marsocco and Mount Koenig and what have you that was able to get us going not only in the training side of things but also in the saving of money side of things because they had wholesale accounts with them. And then we just threw ourselves into classes, Karen and I.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was that the decision with the equipment was a little bit easier in the beginning because we had counterculture helping us. But then, you start to kind of find your way, things that you like after doing it. Um, but as far as the roaster goes,
So
I mean,
he
that's
so he left a couple years after we were in business. He left Counterculture. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but he never approached us. But he started working for a roaster, Pulley Collective in downtown LA, which has locations I think in Oakland and in New York. And then we ran into each other one day, and I said, "So when are you going to ask us if we want to roast?" And because we were a single roaster shop using counterculture, and he was like, "Oh, I would never approach you like that." And I was like, "Well, we would like to." So that was right before COVID started. At the beginning of 2020, we started roasting, and then COVID of 2020 and 2021, we just sort of were like starting to learn roasting. And then we went 50-50 doing our own beans and carrying counterculture. And then I think 2022, we went fully with our own beans, roasting at Pulley, just renting space at their shared space. And then it was 2023 that Karen and I were like, this would be really nice to do in our own space and have just complete control. Um, and then we started researching and asking around about different roasters and manufacturers and companies. Um, you can tell I do a lot of the talking.
yeah.
That's fine. I know B's just going,
Uh-huh. Yeah. I heard that story before.
Me and Karen are both Aquarius, right? So while they have strong opinions and they nod their
We
head at
keep
me,
them to ourselves.
yeah, they just let me do the talking. And anyways, um,
Well, this is interesting because I mean, we do have a number of clients that go through, and again, they go through like a pulley collective type of an experience. You know, they just do their own roasting. They have an opportunity to roast on different pieces of equipment and things like that. And uh, but as you experienced that, I'm sure you were developing kind of your own criteria of what it is that you wanted and what you were looking for. And then when you got started seriously looking, again, speak freely, but you know, what were your criteria? What were you looking for when you're doing that initial research?
great question. I mean, at Pooley, we roasted on a loring, like a 75 or whatever kilo loring, that was electric. We drive electric cars, so we're into electric. But it made sense to us to look into gas,
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah.
I compare it, yeah, I come from like sort of a film background, and it seems comparable to like film or celluloid versus digital. And so digital obviously has its pros, but also its cons. And you just can't change. Like we were watching a film the other night, and we could tell our TV's like, you know, our eyes are getting bad, is what I
Yeah.
would say, but you can tell
Tell it was shot on film.
that's shot on film. There's a grain to it. It feels very authentic. And
Right.
I feel like gas is very much that for roasting. So so we started reaching out, started looking online. You know, we follow Cat and Clouds, you know, very big fans of Cat and Cloud. And then came across a couple of their videos where they just sang your praises. And from there we were sold,
Yeah.
you know.
And then I know you guys came up and did a training here in Carson City. Tell me about that. What did you like about it? Uh, what did you not like about it? I mean, what how was that experience for you guys again, and how did that fit into your journey? And B, you came for that too, right? So
Yeah.
you can talk too now. It's okay.
I'm not allowed to.
Oh, please talk.
um, I don't know if you want to start with that. Like,
So B used to work with us when we first opened our first shop, and went off to do something else after what, like a year with us or something.
yeah.
And but we always remain friends. B feels like family to Karen and me. I don't know if she'd say the same, but and so one day, what, like a year, I'm kidding. One day about a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah.
Almost 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we ran into each other, and B said, "Hey, do you guys need help with roasting? How's roasting going?" And when we were like, "Yes, we definitely need help." And B has a ton of coffee knowledge and experience and a lot of hospitality experience. And then since that day, like completely threw herself in to all things roasting. All right, B, go.
Go. Oh. So when we went, I guess it was more so kind of learning how to be around the machine, drive the machine, like touch the machine, just learning everything about it. It's very helpful because learning from a Lauren to this machine, it's not different, but it's quite different from it. So it really helps to know how it works, what you can do, what you can't do, and you can play more with it and learn more from it. So it was nice, even though it's different from size and space, but you get a feeling of how it's gonna be when you get to the machine. So it's really nice. I think my only uh uh I guess it would be nice to learn more about like hands-on of like how to move things around in the machine, how to clean them, like more hands-on. Because some people are more like I consider myself more like a visual learner. So to be more able to be like, this is how you open it. This is the tools that you actually use for that, instead of just like
how do I do this or what do I do
How do I
this?
clean?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like espresso machine. Like, how do I
Yeah,
clean it? Where do I clean it? And stuff like that. Because
fine
Gotcha.
tuning.
Yeah, I
yeah,
appreciate that feedback, and so uh, I used to be a school teacher and then a school principal, and I'm all about course development and all that sort of thing. It's just like I love that kind of feedback. Just we're
yeah,
going after it.
been very nice, but like explaining and showing us what to do.
Yeah. Oh, everyone's been great from when Brent came up
Oh, yeah.
and installed it for us and spent a couple days with us. That was invaluable. Um, and same with the class. The class over the 2-day intensive course was super invaluable as well. And then you leave, and when your roaster gets set in place, and now it's like go, and you're like, oh, I should have asked this.
Yeah,
I should have done, you look back, it's like when you go to school and you get out and you have your degree, you're like, I probably should have learned a little bit more about this part of my industry. So that's kind of where we are. And myself, I'm not like a handy person by any means, but having a shop, you learn you have to be. So like
Yeah.
yesterday I was installing lights in the ceiling and you're hoping I wasn't gonna electrocute myself. Luckily I didn't, but in the interest of saving time and money, you need to learn that stuff. So B and I have given the roaster a couple deep cleans. We just haven't gotten inside the drum per se. Um, Under the cooling tray, we have most other areas. We take great care of the chaff collector. Um, but we want it to last for a really long time. And you guys are great. Like I know our power has so where we are situated in Redondo Beach, our power goes out like once a day. It'll just like pop off and pop back on, and then the machine turns off. And the first couple times that happens, and we didn't know things had been tripped, we're like, what? What did we do? You feel like you've broken it, but and then we've hopped on with you guys and with Brent, and that's helped us get it back up and going. But yeah, the cleaning of it, we just don't want to take it apart and be unable to put it back together, if you will.
that's
Just call us. We'll walk you
Right.
through it.
Thank
If
you.
you're ready to do something, just give us a call and we'll say, hey, this is what you do. And I just don't worry about your drum. Your drum is a seasoned skillet. It's
oh,
just
Cool.
just leave it.
Cast iron.
It'll be just fine.
Well, funny enough, before hopping on this call, one of the reasons why we were a few minutes late is another shop owner out of Long Beach, Steelhead Coffee. They have a SF 25,
Uh-huh.
and the owner of that was just here, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, look at this! It's so clean and pretty and beautiful." And we were talking about the drum, and he said similar to you. Yeah. So
Oh, good. Awesome. And then, okay, so future. What's your future look like? What are your goals? What's your 1 year, 5 year plan? I mean, what would you like to see hi-fi turn into moving forward?
I would like to see hi-fi. I would like to be roasting for other shops, other,
Uh-huh.
yeah, accounts, other accounts.
funny enough, we have an account fairly close to you guys actually for
Yeah.
this first
Mhm.
quarter. It's in South Lake Tahoe. It's a hotel called the Coachman Hotel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Coachman Hotel. Karen and I have stayed there, and we reached out to them. We roasted for them a couple years ago, and then right now they're carrying our beans. If you're in South Lake Tahoe, we're there, I think, through the end of March. And so we've got a couple amazing small, not small, but accounts at the moment. And we're talking to a few others
Yeah.
in our area and outside of LA as well. And I agree with Karen. That's sort of where our focus is now, because you have this big, beautiful machine, and roasting for ourselves is great, but we want to be roasting, like I think I speak for B,
More.
we want to be roasting all the time,
Yeah.
so
We're gonna keep doing these and keep asking stories and stuff like that. And that's on the how-tos on the future thing. Keep watching these series, and you're gonna find people who are gonna give you ideas. and like how to network, how to find the clients, how to bring business your way. Um, uh, uh, at defining a pain point before you go to the next larger roaster or another roaster or finding an industrial complex to put a roastery, those types of things. And so, yeah, just do that. And looking forward, if you guys start thinking about where would the pain point be for us? So the hard thing is going past the pain point where it becomes excruciating before you make the decision. If you can define that pain point first and you say, okay, we're getting close, we better do something so we don't go from ouch to call the ambulance, right? And anyway, just my little 2 cents there for future
Yeah.
planning. Really, that's about all I had for for the story and anything. I really appreciate you guys sharing. Is there anything else you want to say? Just
Where do you see us be? Where do you want to go?
Yeah.
And where do you want this to be in a few years?
I think I would like to start competing with like whatever roasting competitions and make it like to be well known so that people know about us more because we are kind of far from everybody. We're like
right. Well, Mark Michelson is on our team, and he's a U.S. roaster champ,
Yeah.
and placed 11th in the world
Yeah.
the year he competed. And he is just he really and truly he's very humble, but he's a total champ, and he knows his stuff. And reach out.
Yeah.
Let's get you guys connected and
Yeah.
make a plan and execute it. So, Expo is in San Diego in 2026, just around the corner from you guys. So,
Right.
um, hope to see you in Houston, and if not, we'll see you in San Diego next year.
That sounds great.
Cool.
Yeah. And if we're up in Gardnerville anytime soon, we'll have
Oh,
to
just come by.
pay a visit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, just come by and say hello, because
Thank you.
yeah, that would be great. So,
That's super sweet. Yeah.
all right, B and Jeff and
Karen,
Karen. Oh my gosh, I almost said Katie, but anyway,
that's okay.
thank you so much, and really appreciate it. Wish you guys the best, and I'm sure we'll be touching base soon
Cool.
as you grow. So,
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Emil. Thank you.
okay, thank you. All right,
Appreciate you taking the time.
you bet. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.